I never closed before, and this was the first time I ever really closed. And I think it's like same mindset, same goal, but different mindset, I should say. Like I was starting at Heartland where I was trying to go 7 innings, and then coming into pitching just 1 inning, it was kind of like just let it fly and rip off some sliders. So
good morning, Hatter Baseball fans. I'm Mark Michaud, and we're ripping off another episode of Coffee with Hats. This morning we sit down with Stetson closer Garner Spoljaric. Garner shares some of his stories with us that exemplify a true champion's mentality, like focus, competitiveness, and perseverance. Garner has a unique outlook on life, and you can see his passion for pitching and competition every time he takes the mound and in this interview. So let's get right back to it. Stetson right-handed pitcher, Garner Spoljaric. Jarek, welcome to the show, Garner.
how's it going, guys? Mark, good to see you.
Yes, it's great to see you. Getting to come out here for Coffee with Hats. You are definitely a favorite to have out here. Talk to me about this shirt.
Well, it's inspired by the late, great Evil Knievel. He played a big role in my childhood growing up. But yeah, he was famous for Hawaiians and stunts. So that's where I'm getting that from.
Nice. Hawaiian shirts and stunts. I mean, we got some leaves, some flowers. I believe I'm seeing a dragon out.
It's full blown. I don't know if you could get more of a complete shirt. This is arguably the most versatile shirt east of the Mississippi right now. It's voted on by writers, but I don't let it get to my head or anything like that. I keep it nice and level.
Beautiful. I really appreciate you keeping it level with us.
Yeah. What's that?
You have the Stetson hat on. Love it. Great hat.
Yep. I'm paying a little homage to America there. So
yes. And you are coming to us live from Canada. So in case people didn't know. You live in Canada, but you were born in the United States, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I was born down in Glendale, Arizona. Then we moved up here after my dad played, so he was with the Mariners when I was born, and then so the spring training was in Arizona. So we lived down in Arizona, and then eventually popped back up to Canada after he was traded back to Toronto, and then we moved back here.
Beautiful. And so we got the hat. So what are you working with a coffee mug? What's your mug?
Today we have the Tim Hortons, the legendary coffee shop in Canada here. So we all respect and love this shop very, very dearly.
Yeah, so good sandwiches at Tim Hortons. Good
breakfast. Yep, coffee and sandwich, donut. You can do it all there, really.
Let's just go into childhood. Garner Spoljaric growing up.
Yeah, all right. Well, let's see. So young, I guess we moved around a lot. Like with my dad playing and stuff, we kind of bounced everywhere, but I don't really remember much of that stuff. My dad played Mariners, the Blue Jays, and the Cardinals, and bounced around a little bit at the end there. So there was a few different places. We moved around from Arizona, Florida, like wherever the cities may be. But eventually we got back to Canada. We lived in a town called Stouffville right outside Toronto for probably the first 4 years of my life. And then we moved up to here. I live in the absolute sticks right now. There's not much around me. So I live in a small town called Lyle now. So I'm up here, but it's been a bit of moving, but we've been stuck here for the last little bit. So I like it here. I kind of like living in the country anyways. So I'm happy here. So.
Awesome. So if I can open up a little bit about, moving around, growing up with moving around.
Yeah.
You are a guy who it's not hard to get to know. You're easy to approach. You approach people. You have, a little bit of a dynamic personality to you, really, fun personality. You think that kind of might come from having to meet new people all the time and move around so much when you were younger?
And I think that probably does have to do with moving around and sort of getting to see new faces and stuff. And obviously moving away, I was at a junior college before Stetson. So I think all these experiences kind of pile up into sort of becoming more of a open book, or however you want to phrase it.
Yeah.
But I think it definitely has something to do with that. I never really thought of it, but yeah.
Yeah. Did you, what was it like with youth sports and stuff like that? Being somebody.
So yeah, it was baseball right away. My brother and my older brother and I always played together. My little brother was a little bit younger, so he never really played on the same team as us. But we played baseball right away. It was kind of, I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it at first. I liked soccer way more, and then I was like, and then it kind of got to like 5, 6, and I was like, all right, I don't really like soccer anymore. And then sort of like mashed into just strictly baseball. But youth baseball was kind of like whatever, not that serious. No one really cared. I didn't really even care for baseball for quite a while, so that was kind of interesting seeing how that has altered in my life. But yeah, no, played hockey for fun. I played basketball. I hated that. I couldn't stand basketball at all. And then yeah, but baseball kind of took over probably when I was like 12, 10, somewhere in there, 11, 12 maybe, and then sort of just ran with it. I kind of grew steadily. My older brother was a freak. Like, he was taller than our coaches when he was like 13, and he was hitting balls all over the place, and I was just so much smaller than him. So I feel like at first I didn't really know how good I was gonna be, and especially I wasn't never the biggest guy, so I was
Right.
never blowing people away with my appearance. But I feel like as the years went on, I kind of progressed and things changed, obviously. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, youth
Did
baseball was
you
it.
did you feel a competitiveness with your older brother? Were you trying to like
Oh
beat
yeah,
him out and
for
stuff?
sure. Yeah, I remember, like, I'm pretty competitive. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm ultra competitive, maybe too much sometimes. But
Well, yeah,
yeah,
ping pong table. Yeah, I might say that.
yeah, I struggle with losing, I think, is my big issue. I'm not good at losing. So I remember my older brother was always better than me, but I could never admit it. Like, we'd always get in fights. I remember one time, actually, one of our biggest fights ever was, I was probably 13, 14, and he was 15. And yeah, we got into it about who was better. And he called my dad in, freaking out. He's like, who's better? Like, tell us right now. And I was like, oh my God. Like, I remember being just like, I was ready to go cut down trees with my bare hands. I was livid. But yeah, no, we competed pretty heavily. He always was just so much bigger than me. Like, now we're roughly around the same size, but he's still a bigger guy. But yeah, we competed very heavily for sure. It was probably good in the grand scheme of things. But
Got it. That
yeah,
you opened up a can there.
yeah, this is probably
Got deep.
the most explicit content. I'm a little worried about myself right now, but we'll keep it hopefully PG-13 in this interview.
I think you're doing phenomenal. How about your younger brother? Like, is
Yeah,
he trying to keep
so
up with you guys? Like, what's his story?
so I think he's 3 years younger than me, and he's now, at this point, my older brother's done playing, so I'm more so working, like, not working with him, but we kind of do our thing together now, where he's actually bigger than me now too. He's grown like crazy the last little bit, but he's trying to play in college as well, and hopefully one day professionally. But yeah, he's playing down in Toronto with the travel team, whatever. My dad coaches there as well, so he's got a good setup. He's doing pretty well for himself. He's
Good.
he's
Awesome.
definitely turned into a little pitcher for sure.
And you have a sister who's a really good softball player, if I remember.
I have two sisters.
Two
One
sisters.
one
Okay.
is definitely, yeah, twin sisters. They're both, one doesn't love it as much. One's really good at softball, but I don't know if she wants to do college with it. I think she's on the fence with that sort of thing. I don't think she's necessarily, like, I don't think she really sees a future in it. Maybe it's like she's kind of just like, I'm doing it for fun. But yeah, no, she does really well for her team for sure. She's kind of the stud, I think. But
No, that's
we'll see.
awesome. So pretty
Yeah.
competitive family.
Yeah, very competitive. The wiffle ball games get out of hand. It's not exactly it's fun, but it's a little bit, maybe if you're an outsider coming in, it's probably a little bit much for you. But yeah, no, it's fun. We got enough kids to field a straight team, so not literally, but close enough. But
Hmm.
yeah, no, it's competitive for sure.
So okay,
Mario,
so growing up mainly in Canada, um,
yeah,
going out to Heartland Community College, where you started off
yeah.
your college career. How did you find Heartland? And then talk a little bit about what it was like there. How'd you find them?
I loved it there. It was so they originally saw me throwing with my travel team or whatever, Great Lake Canadians that I played for throughout high school. So I went down to, I think it was Butler. I pitched against Butler, and then I pitched against some scout team thing, and I threw pretty well there. And I'd been sort of struggling with some, not arm issues, but I think I was growing. I don't know what was happening. I was just sore all the time. And so eventually like the fall came around and I started to feel really good. I started throwing pretty well, and they came and watched me there and ended up offering me like I visited the next day and ended up committing pretty much. I think I committed maybe a month or two after they offered me. I was kind of just seeing what's going on there, but yeah, so I committed there. And then my freshman year, we had probably one of the best teams I've ever been a part of. Like, just honestly, pretty incredible to be a part of. But I think we had 15 plus Division One commits off a junior college team, so it was pretty special group. But I didn't pitch as much as I really thought I would have, which was, I mean, not the end of the world, but I ended up throwing okay, not the best.
How did you handle that scenario where you went to a place, you didn't end up pitching like you thought you were going to? Like, what was going on with you at that moment, like in that year?
I would say I was sort of just battling, not like I was never really, I feel like my sophomore year is really where I turned baseball wise. So I was sort of trying to figure out how I could just better myself. I didn't take it personally. I wasn't sitting there like pouting about it, but
Hmm.
I was sort of like, okay, like at the end of the year I started to throw a lot more, so I kind of turned it around for myself. But it's sort of just, I felt like not getting caught up in not pitching and finding a way to pitch rather than sort of focusing on not pitching.
That's
So
awesome. And I
it's
want
more
to jump
so just,
in. I'm sorry to cut you off, but like that's so unique. Like so
oh
many
yeah,
people get into a selfish, woe is me, type of a
yeah,
mentality. And it's like I just think that's so awesome for us to hear and people to listen to about how you were faced with that crossroad and you just decided
yeah,
to take the higher road or the road to better yourself and develop and not blame others. That's
right.
amazing.
Yeah, so I think the mentality of it was sort of really what helped me get through that. It was not playing the victim rather than like like realistically at the end of the day, like if you're good enough, you're gonna pitch. So like it's not like it's how could it be personal if it's just strictly about me not pitching? So obviously I found a way around it, ended up throwing pretty well at the end of the year, and then like met some of my best friends there ever. So it was awesome experience my freshman year, and then sophomore year sort of just carried into it. I was okay in the summer, still trying to like figure out things to like really get honed and be more consistent. And then sophomore year came around, and I was all right in the fall. Like I could have, I mean, found other places, but I really wanted to go to Stetson because you guys are coming off the super regional, and I was sort of set on either going to a sweet mid-major baseball school, but I really like Stetson just because look, like realistically, it's in a perfect spot. The baseball's obviously pretty exceptional. So I was telling my coach like, hey, I want to go to a small school. I want to go to a baseball school. Like, what about Stetson? And he's like, I mean, we can try, whatever, yada yada. So I throw the fall, nothing really comes up, and I threw okay, but I was still sort of trying to figure everything out for myself. And then the winter came around. I felt so much better than I ever had. Like I was really, really finally getting to where I felt like I should be rather than like, oh, I could be there sort of thing. So sort of just went off and kept going over the winter, and then spring rolled around, and Coach T watched me like my first start, and it was kind of a disaster that first start. Like as far as off-field stuff, it was kind of interesting story actually. So the night we drive, so this is actually terrible. So we drive down to Florida the night before, and we get in like the spring forward or whatever, like the hour, we lose an hour,
Got you.
and
that messes
I'm on
everything
the
up.
Yeah, but listen to this. So we're on the bus, yada yada. This guy he has knocked the bus driver has knocked down the first 3 rows of seats, and we have 45 plus guys. So initially, like, we tried to let the sophomores get their own seat and whatever else, but this guy has turned the first few seats into his bed, and he's got his buddy and he's taxiing him to the airport, I think in Atlanta, and we're just like, what is wrong with this guy? Like, you're supposed to get us to Florida, not to Atlanta. So whatever. People are already freaking out. They're like, this is brutal. Like, people are doubling up every seat. Like, coach is doubled up. Like, just miserable. And so then it's whatever. We drove through the night. We don't stop. And I get like a call from my mom, and she's freaking out. And I was like, what's going on? Like, yada, yada. And then I find out my sister is getting rushed to the ER. Like,
Oh man.
terrible situation. So she was like, I can't remember what her blood sugar level is at. Her pancreas fails, and she has type 1 diabetes now. So I get the call like that. My sister's like in intensive care. Like, I'm like, this is just great. Like, this is me the day before, like, I'm supposed to go to like pitch in front of the school I want to go to. So I was like, this could not be worse. So I'm like, this is brutal. My mom's like, she got rushed to sick kids in Toronto. It was a pretty bad situation. So yeah, the next day we play, and it's the hour ahead still. So we're supposed to play at 8 a.m. and then it's like 7 a.m. for us, and we're an hour behind. So in Illinois, at least. And then, so it was a big wreck. Like, I was like, this is just the worst situation I could be getting into right now. Like, I'm supposed to pitch in front of the school I want to go to, and then I've got like a wink of sleep, and now I'm pitching at 6 a.m. it feels like. So I ended up throwing pretty well. I don't know what happened, but yeah, I kind of did well. And then I went up and visited Stetson right after, and then I committed like that week. So I was definitely ready to go, but it was kind of a crazy story.
To this day, does Coach T know that whole backstory of your start?
No, I don't. I think that might be the only people that know are the people, my coaches and teammates at Heartland, I guess. I've never told anybody that before, but I guess one of my buddies knows too. But yeah, no, I've never, and Coach T doesn't know. It was kind of, I was just so out of it. I was like, God, I just want to get this game over with right now. But
I'll tell you, like, I love doing these interviews because I learn so much about everybody. And I have such a respect for your ability. This is just the second time now that you've told me where you've had 2 scenarios in life where, you know, it's not going well, you know,
right,
crap's hitting the fan, and you're able to somewhat compartmentalize things and do your job and go out and keep your focus on
right,
what you need to focus on right now. Okay, I can't do anything about my sister. I can't be there for them. Take care of the business. You know, obviously your thoughts are there. Your thoughts are with your family, but you're able to still produce and perform. And that's very admirable. Like, so appreciate you sharing that story with us. That's really nice, really good story.
Oh, not a problem.
And your sister's good now, right?
Yeah, no, she's a trooper. She probably handles it better than I would have for sure handled it. She's doing well though. She's right over. She's come, I guess, 2 years in March, but she's doing well.
So awesome, man. You just transitioned right in. It's like you followed the timeline of questions I was going to ask to a T. But I do kind of want to talk a little bit about pitching at Stetson. You know, like,
Yeah.
you tied for you're a guy out of the bullpen.
Yeah.
Love watching you, pitch. Love how what you bring to the field, and the excitement, and you just kind of pitch with your emotions on your sleeve.
Yeah.
And you were tied for the most wins on the team as a guy coming out of the bullpen.
Yeah.
No kid. I mean, it's awesome. So talk a little bit about your pitching at Stetson.
So I was pretty, like, the fall went awesome for me. I threw real well and everything was good. But so the winter and stuff was really what I felt was like, I started to get worried because I got super sick at home, and then it was a disaster, to be honest. Like, I was thrown into like, this was the worst because I usually throw at this facility. I usually throw at this facility with my brother, and we'll play catch and help each other out. But the place I usually throw it was getting renovated last winter. And so the gym was open, but the place was not able to be thrown in. So I had to go find another place just down the road, and it's a smaller facility. And they ended up not letting my older brother was doing me a favor. Like, he's not playing, so he was getting nothing out of playing catch there. Like, he was just literally helping me out, sort of thing. And they ended up not letting him throw with me. So I was like, "Are you kidding me right now?" So for the first, well, not even for the entire time, I threw into a net entire. Like, I was just like, this could not be going any worse right now. Like, this sucks. But anyways, get down to Florida.
Old school, man. I love that.
Yeah, well, it was fine for the time being, but when I was trying to like just focus in and get it done, it was like, okay, this sucks. But anyways, and then I get sick again when I get down to Florida. I was like, God, this is just a wreck right now. But yeah, no, it ended up turning out all right, but I think the JUCO sort of helped me transition to getting to pitch at a Division I level, sort of thing. Like, I wasn't worried about it personally. Like, I knew I was good enough to sort of get in and be good at what I was doing. So I felt good. It's nice having Coach T there to sort of help me and keep me in line and stuff like that. But yeah, no, I feel like this year was the first year. I never had closed before, and this was the first time I ever really closed. And I think it's like same mindset, same goal, but different mindset, I should say. Like, I was starting at Heartland, where I was trying to go 7 innings, and then coming into pitching just 1 inning. It was kind of like, just let it fly and rip off some sliders. So I kind of
And you rip them off, man. It's fun to watch you throw, man. Really is fun to watch you pitch.
Well, thank you. But yeah, it was good though. I felt the transition was really good. I felt pretty good going into it, but there was some hiccups. I wasn't thrilled with how I threw this spring. Like, number wise, it was fine. I just personally didn't feel that sharp, I should say. Like, I know I was better than how I was throwing. And I mean, I'm sure my teammates do as well. So it was kind of frustrating where I was still getting outs and whatever, but I wasn't as dominant as I really should have or could have been. And I think that is okay, but what sucked is with the season ending so short is I really felt like at the end, like, I was really starting to feel like sharp again. Like, I feel like I can get outs, like I can out-compete people. Like, I'm not worried about getting outs necessarily, but it's more so just I like to feel like I'm sharp, like all my stuff's working. I think that's a pretty awesome feeling. So that was kind of like the hiccup, I'd say. So it was good to be able to deal with that and sort of get over it, but at the same time, it was kind of like, hey, like, the season getting cut short really is a bummer now.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, hey, man, I appreciate everything that we've been able to talk about. So we're going to move into the final segment here called 3 Strikes. And it's just 3 quick hitter questions that I'm going to come at you with. Just kind of, give me give me your answer, and we'll just roll through each one. Number 1,
right.
Who inspired you growing up?
This one's tough, but I would say, I guess I'll have to go overall. I'll say my dad, I guess, is probably the
Did you
biggest
want to go with
inspiration.
Knievel?
Yeah, I was between the Big Lebowski and Knievel there, so I was.
Dad.
Walter Schobach is in there too somewhere. So I don't know. We're battling with a head of different people, but I'll go with my dad. My dad's biggest influence as far as my baseball career goes. So I guess I learned a lot from him growing up and watching him pitch and stuff like that. So I'd say my dad's the biggest influence and inspiration for me.
That's awesome. Fantastic. Okay, staying along the lines of family with your dad, what was your most memorable family vacation?
Well, yeah. So we were in Florida years ago, and we were at a beach, and we were all on the beach, whatever. And my sisters and brothers, we were all in the water, but I was out quite a bit deeper than they were. There was some like sandbar I was swimming to, and there's crabs all over it. And I remember I cut my foot open pretty bad on this crab, and my sister, I fell. I was like I fell over when I stepped on it, hurt. And my sister thought I was getting attacked by a shark, and she's like jumping, waving her arms around and stuff. And I was like, I was still in the water. Like I was sitting there just like sort of holding my foot or whatever. And she was freaking out. I see my mom like screaming and stuff. And I was like, I didn't get, like, we're fine here. But I ended up, my foot was all gashed up. So I think the blood and the falling was really what threw them off.
That would be pretty memorable, like, lifeguards running down, trying to come.
Yeah, exactly. I should have said it was a shark. Tiger shark got me.
Yeah. And you survived. Yeah, you punched it, a tiger shark,
Yeah.
punched it in the nose, and it swam away. How Garner Spoljaric beat the tiger shark.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, last question. What is your favorite book?
Oh, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is definitely a pretty big. I'd say that's my favorite book. It's a interesting one. Hunter S. Thompson, pretty brilliant guy, pretty special mind. I'd say he's on his own program, which I admire. I think he serves a pretty creative aspect in life, so I think he inspired a lot of people. But I'd say that's probably my favorite book. Gonzo Journal, I should say. It's about his little trip to Las Vegas, where he just sort of takes in his interactions and stuff. He's got some skewed view on life. So he takes that one up with Johnny Depp in a movie. So check the movie out, people. It's fantastic.
Well, it's awesome. Garner, thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, you bet.
I know that you're a person who values individuality and learning. Yep. And facing tough situations and coming out on the positive side. So you definitely brought that forth for us here today. And thanks for coming out.
No, you bet. No worries. Thanks for having me.